Kelly Bear here, coming at you from a slightly different angle and slightly different area today. I thought I would share my my little altar trolley altar. Which way around would that be? Trolley altar? It's an altar that's a trolley. A vintage mid-20th century trolley. I used to call this my tarot trolley because this is where I used to keep all my tarot stuff, but my tarot deck collection has outgrown this area, should we say, this little trolley. I do have a little tour of the tarot trolley from many moons ago, about 6 or 7 years ago, so I'll try to remember to link that down below so you can see how the setup has changed. So now it is just like my full-on like working altar space. And I try to keep my altar space cleaned and refreshed once a month, but it's actually been at least 2 months, maybe just over 2 months, and it really needs a clean and sort of just a little bit of a sort out. So I thought, you know, actually I'll bring you along for that. So what I'll be doing is I'll be giving you, well, I'm going to be cleaning it first of all. Actually, tell a lie, what I think I should do is show you what it looks like now, then I'll clean it, and I'll probably do like a sped up version of that, so you don't have to sit through me cleaning the whole trolley, and then I'll give you a final walkthrough of what it looks like if I've changed anything, and if I have the time or have the inclination, I might show you the stuff that I keep under and to the sort of the side of the trolley as well. But yeah, I just thought I would change it up, do something a little bit different, as Rachel Maxey would say, and yeah, bring you along for that. So here we go. Okay, so here it is in all its glory. I haven't changed anything, I'm literally just showing you how it is. We have the top of the trolley, which is like the working altar space. You can see my card of the day from yesterday. I've been using the Next World Tarot Pocket Edition. I have my little moon cards and things. So yeah, that's just sort of the basic setup. And then we have all sorts of stuff crammed in on here. It's getting a little much. So yeah, it's a little messy. A couple of boxes under there and some bits to the side. Yeah, it's not the prettiest, but you know, it's functional, and it needs a bloody clean, so that's what I'm gonna do now. Wow, I think that was the quickest I've ever cleaned my altar trolley. I think because I was very like aware of the fact that I was going to have to speed it up, and I didn't want you watching loads and loads of me just cleaning. But it meant I got it. Yeah, I got it done in record time, I think. So we'll just show you actually what I was sort of sitting on when I was filming the intro, and it's a rather squashed round yoga bolster. This is my yoga bolster. It's also my my meditation cushion. I sit on this when I meditate, and when I do my daily offerings, and spell work, anything like that. It's also what I sit on at my dressing table to do my makeup, and it's also what I put under my knees just to raise them a little bit when I'm lying on my acupressure mat. So this is a real like doubles up, not doubles up, triples up, quadruples up for a number of things. It's really handy. So yeah, trusty old yoga bolster. So wow, a minute on yoga bolsters. Say that fast 5 times. So here is the sort of the working space, and as you can see, it is very, wow, I'm like rocking back and forth, and I'm like, I need to hold this more steady because I'm holding it on a gimbal like selfie stick, but it's not charged up, so the gimbal bit that balances it all out isn't actually isn't active at the moment, so I have to be the gimbal, aka I have to hold it steady as I can. So yeah, this altar trolley sits under the eaves in the corner of my bedroom, which also doubles up as my workspace. Again, a real look at my everything here. You know, I live in London and we are sort of tapped for space. We don't, you know, unless you're like wealthy and then you can have rooms for all sorts of things, a room for everything, but my room does multiple duties. So yeah, this is the working space, and I don't often go much more than this other than having maybe the card of the day, but often I will also put the card of the day on my desk so I can see it whilst I'm working, or if I've got 3 cards, I will just lay them down here. I do need some card holders, like little single card holders and maybe like a triple card holder, because I do find I'm always like propping cards up against things and they're always falling over, and it's not an ideal situation, so that's something I should probably invest in at some point. So yeah, I really stripped my altar back almost 5 years ago now when I read 6 Ways by Aidan Wachter. That really revolutionized my practice. I felt like I'd been bimbling along for a long time, not really, I don't know, I didn't really know where I was going and what I was doing, and that book really sort of helped me find a focus again, and really it resonated with me so hard. It's like one of the books that I refer to the most even now and work with even now, and my daily offerings are based off of the framework that Aidan gives in that book. I have put my own spin on it since, because I've been doing it for a long time, but this is my basic daily offering. So we have you know, light, smoke and water. I use one of these burners that has the candle underneath, and it's actually mesh, but I've tried burning, you know, if you burn resins like benzoin or like sort of less slightly too ground down herbs, they will fall through the mesh, and you don't want resin falling onto your candle underneath. So I just put the little foil under here, and I know that Aidan in his book actually says that he uses one of these as well, because it allows you to warm incense for much longer without having to keep topping it up like you would if you had a charcoal disc, or maybe having to keep relighting cones or sticks, depending on what you use. But I always use loose incense, and this is my own blend, like sort of my own like just everyday blend, which is a mixture of spices and then benzoin, which smells like vanilla. I really, really love it. This is my singing bowl. I use this to clear you know, just sort of clear the space, or just to sort of calm me down. These are my little moon cards. I can't remember which video I shared these in, but I made these years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago at least, and it's literally just all of the phases of the moon that I watercoloured on, you know, watercolour paper, just did myself. And then on the back it'll have, you know, to be honest, I don't really read these bits. It was more for when I was learning about the, like, not learning but relearning, because I was coming back to a magical practice for the first time in a long time. I had been back on my tarot practice for a good while, but it was when I started to really step back into sort of working with the moon phases, which is something I still do to this day. And as you can see, we are in the waxing crescent, because as of filming, we had a dark moon on Monday, new moon. So yeah, so I keep it really, really simple. Any magical work that I'm doing will be laid out in here. And then I also just work on the floor in front of me if I'm doing anything. I will use the floor space. I might have to put a tray down or a cloth down, depending excuse me, on what I'm hay fever on what I'm doing. But it's very much like a very limited space. I would love a whole corner of a room. I mean, I'd love a whole room, let's be honest, but like a corner of a room where I can have a bigger altar space, but that's just not something I can have at the moment. Under here we have all sorts of bits and bobs. So you'll see lots of cards. So we have the weaver that I'm working for this quarter. But we're just this weekend I will be switching over to my next one. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to pause because I am sniffing like a mofo. Okay, that's better to blow my nose. So I'll be switching over to my next weaver. I have the tarot card that I'm working with for the year. I'm having a temperance year. The wildwood card for the whole quarter, which is the world tree, and the card that I'm really behind now. I'm like, I don't know, like at least 6 weeks behind on my year in the wildwood, because I didn't do any for a whole month, 4 or 5 weeks. And then we've got the swan card, which is the animal card that I'm working for 2023. I nearly said 2017 then. Where's my mind? And then, you know, the rest of the stuff I have, you know, little jars, as witches tend to do. I've got cardamom. I've got the ingredients for my go-to incense that you saw on the burner there. So I've got cardamom. I have some of the incense itself still ground up there. I've got some graveyard dirt from the family plot on my father's side, my dad's side. I have an oil. This is what I take a few deep breaths of before I sit down to do my offerings. And it's just, I changed to this a few months ago because I wanted something that was quite sharp and awakening. So I switched to lemon. And because the roller oil that I was using to anoint myself with was running out, and I would like to make myself a new roller oil, but you know, squirrel brain. There's a different incense here that I bought online a while ago for the throat, clearing the throat area. And then behind here we have my dad's Bible from when he was a child in the late 50s, early 60s. What have we got? We've got some salt and we've got some other resins in there. Oh my god, I'm making a mess. As you can see, I sort of hold things up with this plate, this dish, the cards, and with crystals. So this was a labradorite that Simon at the Hermit's Cave gave me years ago, and I also use it as a palm stone sometimes when I'm meditating and I need my little monkey mind something to sort of give it, because sometimes I need to like stim when I meditate because it actually helps me focus more. It sounds counterintuitive, but hey, that's squirrel brains for you. I have my spell bag. This is a spell bag that I use quite often, and I feed it and I wear it when I leave the house. And then I have because my mum's side is Irish, I have my rosary beads from when I was a child that were actually gifted to me by my nan, because Catholic, innit? And then what else have we got? This is currently empty. This used to be a set of 2 that my mum got me back in the 1990s when I first made my first altar. She bought me this set of little dishes, but one of them broke very sadly. They were exactly the same. They were a matching set. Got some other spare candles that are sort of partly lit, lighter for lighting candles, another crystal that I'll use to like prop cards up. I don't use crystals in my practice because they don't really resonate me in that sense, but also I find them quite problematic because of the way that they are mined. There's a lot of ethical problems around them that I think people are still not 100% aware of. And this is a little sort of carved one, was gifted to me by my mother-in-law a couple of years ago. Again, it's labradorite. I wouldn't buy one of these myself. Any like crystals that I have are either gifts, or I've had them for over 20 years, because I think it was the early noughties where I actually learned about crystal mining, and I've never bought a crystal since. Try to get your crystals secondhand if you are someone that works with crystals. It's not perfect, but it's better than buying new ones. I have my magnifying glass for looking at details on cards, and behind there's like a big jar of we've got cinnamon sticks. And yeah, that's cinnamon sticks. And what's in this one? I think it's more cinnamon sticks. No, it's star anise. I can't really remember. Those are, again, used in my main incense. Obviously, salt is self-explanatory when you're a witch. I would hope you would know. Or maybe you don't, actually. That's rather presumptuous of me. Salt is used quite a lot by many witches and magical practitioners in general around the world, and by the Winchester brothers in Supernatural. This little angel I've only recently put out here. This was scented like chocolate, and it was gifted to me by my sister about 10 years ago, and I had it in my underwear drawer because I liked it that it smelled like chocolate and vanilla. But I sniffed it recently and it doesn't smell anymore. It's finally lost its smell, and it's a little cherub, but it's not really my bag. My sister's Christian, I'm not, clearly. But it's still sentimental to me, and I have considered painting it like a neon colour for funsies, but I don't know if my sister would be horrified, so I've just put it there for now until I decide what to do it. There's a candle in that box there. If I can't remember what I've got in here. Here is some more resins and some cloves. Again, part of what I use in my regular incense. I have no need for such big jars of all these like cinnamon sticks and things. I have considered maybe, I don't know, I don't use it as much because my incense burner doesn't go through them as quickly now that I use one of those warming ones. I've got some dragon's blood dragon's blood like resin, and I've got some benzoin in there. Benzoin's my favourite. So that's like, what I have on there. Oh, I have another, like, this was from a Thai restaurant that was closing down in my area years ago. And we bought a bunch of, like, this was one of the things we bought from them. They were selling off all of their crockery because they weren't going to need it. So we just bought a bunch of stuff off them. I got like a teapot off of them and some, like, all sorts of stuff. But I kept some of the stuff for, like, my magical stuff. So here I use this to put the deck that I'm working on for the week or the day or the month or whatever. I've got a small mortar and pestle. It's a ceramic one with a wooden pestle. It's not ideal. I use a proper molcajete in the kitchen because you got to make guac in the real thing, right? I have my tongs for, like, touching hot things, usually incensey things. And yeah, and this was from the local Thai place, the Thai restaurant that shut down. It was such a shame because it was family run, and they often would cook with vegetables in their dishes that they had grown in their own garden, it was a very special place. Such a shame. But yeah, this is to keep things warm. So you put your little tea lights on there, and then it would keep your dish, your rice or whatever, warm, and then you would use this as a little lid. But it's really good for other witchy bits. Again, it could be used as a giant incense warmer or an oil burner, or used as an offering dish. Like, it's just a real good sort of as you can see, I really like things that are multi-purpose. Actually, that might sit a bit better in there. There we go, that's better. Oh, I forgot to talk about my cauldron. I have had this cauldron for about 26 years. It's the only cauldron I've ever had. I bought it at Camden Market. I think it was about £15. I was about 16, and that was a lot of money for me. Even in like 1997, I'd saved up some of my money that I'd earned and went some pocket money, and I bought this, and I've just, it's a decent size. It's not massive, but it's also not like a tiny one. And actually, funnily enough, Saoirse of Saoirse Rising had one of these in the background of one of her videos, and I was like, oh my god, I have never ever seen another one of these out anywhere. And I love me a thrift shop, like, and I've never spotted another one of these, and I've never seen anyone else in one of their videos with one, and it just made me so happy. This is a wooden pentacle disc that was gifted to me by my friend Pasquale, who was also a practicing pagan. I am out of touch with him, unfortunately. I used to work with him. So yeah, this is my basic setup. And then to the sides we have a fan. Do you know what? We desperately needed a fan because it had been so hot. And then my spouse went to the recording studio that he runs and brought this back, because I was like, oh my god, you need to bring one of the fans from the recording studio because it's just too hot. We don't have one here at home. And then as soon as he brought it home, the heat just left the summer, and it's never gotten as hot enough that I actually need it since he brought it home. I have my acupressure mat and bolster. I have my yoga mat and yoga belt. So this is all my like little spiritual slash meditation slash magical corner. And then in the corner here we have a box of decks. I have the box for the Fifth Spirit Tarot. The Fifth Spirit Tarot is in there because I was recently using that. I've been using that a lot. I love it. And then I did take a picture, it's on my community feed, of what I had next to my deck, so my trolley as ebook wise. So I have the guidebook for the Weavers Oracle, because I'm always diving in and out of that, and you'll see that I just used the little thing here as the bookmark for the weaver that I am working with for the season, which is usually a quarter. If you want to see a bit more about that, I can also link my solar return spread, which utilizes this deck. You don't have to use the Weaver's Oracle. You could pull four cards from a different oracle and use that, but it's a spread that I created. It's like a Frankenstein deck, and it pulls in all sorts of different ideas and all sorts of decks, and even a rune. This is my rune for the year, and it utilizes. So if you've got a bunch of decks and you want to use them a bit more, it's a really good way to use a bunch of decks, and it's a great way to have a reading that you can utilize and go back through the entire year without just pulling one card for each month. I did that for a while and it didn't really work for me, and that's why I devised the solar return spread, because it's got more meat on its bones. It gives you more to chew on throughout the year, and I've been really enjoying that. And we have my tarot journal, which I've not really used the last 2 or 3 months. I haven't really been writing in it. I've been pulling daily cards a lot, and I haven't even been recording them. I occasionally take a picture of them. This is my magical journal. That's very private. The Fifth Spirit guidebook, which is just now always here. And then when I'm reading with Marseille, I always have the Squid Cake Marseille book out as well. They're my 2 like favourite guidebooks for each system. And then I have the Next World, just the pocketbook. I also have the larger version, but I just use the pocketbook because it's small and cute and chunky, and they stay there because that's the deck that I have out here. And then underneath here, I can scooch up like that, we have another box of decks. We have the box for the Next World Tarot Pocket Edition, and we have some box of magical supplies that I cannot fit on here. So should I, this video is getting a bit long, should I show you what I've got going on in this box and what I store underneath my altar that I also use in my magical practice? Should we do it? Yeah, let's go. Okay. shaky cam time again. Oh my god, I'm gonna sneeze, hold on. Darn hay fever. So I'm going to be doing this one-handed because I'm lazy and I couldn't be bothered to set up the whole tripod thing, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get close in with the tripod, so we're just going one-handed. So on top of here you will find some brown paper bags, and these are not just here as like some random padding to keep things in here safe. I use brown paper bags for making sigils and petitions and things like that. I remember reading somewhere that like folk practitioners using paper bags traditionally, and I was like, you know what, that's good, because I have brown paper bags and I never always know what to do with them. Wow, this is a real
We're just going in. So we've got some good old nag. I mean, fucking nag is a classic. That's what's in that there as well. So I do sometimes just burn that, but because who doesn't love a bit? Well, I'm sure there are people that don't love the smell of nag. I love the smell of nag. I do have some like mala beads, but I do feel a little bit weird using them these days, just because, you know, I'm not Buddhist. I don't know. It feels, you know, a bit appropriative. So I do keep meaning to make my own set of like prayer beads or like meditation beads, but again, squirrel brain, there's 12 million things that I need to do, and I never know which one to do, and so I get paralyzed by choice, and then I don't do anything. That's just my life. So there's that. I have a poppet that I use. I made this maybe about 5 years ago, and it has embroidered with some like sigils and things that are relevant to what this poppet is used for, and the color is relevant and everything, and it's got, you know, things inside such as a piece of my hair, some nail clippings, menstrual blood, all those lovely things, bit of spit, you know, all that good stuff, good tag locks in there, and some herbs and stuff. So yeah, good old poppet. I've been using this for 5 years, so because it's used for a specific thing. I've got some of Kelly from the Truth in Stories journey tokens in here. This is where I keep my most of my casting stuff. The only thing I don't think I keep in here is although I do keep my charm casting in here because I made a bag for it. That was it. My charm casting used to be in a box that I kept on the side, but I've since made a bag. Okay, we have an athame that I don't really use anymore. It was a handmade item I bought at a pagan festival at Red Lion Square, Conway Hall at Red Lion Square, pagan pride event, with a copper blade. You know, so things like copper and iron and steel are useful for various different things. So this one is a copper. I have a wand again, which I don't use so much anymore. This is hazel, I believe. Again, I bought at a another pagan pride at Conway Hall a different year, and it's just really nice because it's like a natural stick that's just sort of been sanded and waxed. You know, as you can see, I quite like the more sort of rustic aesthetic. We have another couple of those candles. These are presents again from a couple of years ago. What smell are these ones? I can't remember what the smell of those are. Bluebells maybe, I can't remember. And this one is bee fruity smell. Okay, rhubarb and raspberry. I can't remember for the life of me what the smell of those ones are. I've got some oh my goodness, is that all I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 tea lights left. Wow, so that's a good, I'm glad I'm doing this because I hadn't realized that was that low. I've got a candle, this pillar candle, which I drew the sigils from this on, and this was these were made as part of a ritual and like a spell working that I did, and then I was burning this and it burned so slowly, but what I was working towards manifested really quickly, and I was like, wow, I have this whole candle. And I know they say like burn the candle to the end, but it's like it would have taken a fucking month of Sundays to burn this. So I abandoned it, and I've never really known what else to do with it, but I continued to use the poppet because I knew that the poppet was made with long time work in mind. So yeah, and it's funny, I was actually listening to a podcast yesterday. I think it was Seeking Witchcraft. Their latest episode is about candle magic and the basics for candle magic and working with candles. And the woman that they're speaking to, I can't remember her name, she said find the smallest candle you can that you need for the working, and it immediately made me think of this, and I was like, wow, why did I never think of that? I always thought like the biggest candle was the best. So I think like wee pillar candles would be really nice, you know, like something that's like in a glass votive thing, but like smaller. I mean, it's fine if you're doing like, I think these kind of candles are great if you've got like candles for saints or dedicated to certain spirit allies or deities or anything like that. But I realized quite quickly, unless I'm doing like a really long, like month-long working or something for a spell, I'm not going to need a candle this big. And this was my first time using a candle this big for a spell, and it was a big lesson in, oh yeah, not great. I do love that you can draw the sigils on it with the Posca markers, but you know, you can also carve sigils into candles. It's just a lot easier and quicker to draw them on, right? Because, you know, lazy witchcraft. Oh god, I'm so sorry for sniffing, but you know, hay fever. Here is the kind of, some more, I think, crystals that have been gifted to me over the years, some more amethysts. People know that I really love amethyst because I love me some purple. I used to have some aquamarine, but that was gifted to me by my stepmom, but I gifted that away. This is a piece of rock that my husband picked up at a walk on some in the Highlands in Scotland, some glacial rock. You can see the striations there, and I had a massive flare up that day, and it was the last day of our holiday, and I had to stay at home in bed. I'd come onto my period and I was having a flare up, and I couldn't even walk, I couldn't even get out of bed. So he brought that back as a little like memento for me. So I work with these in various capacities. Again, there's some rose quartz that was, you know, I think I bought that myself maybe about 1999, 2000. Some snowflake obsidian. So like a few little bits and bobs. Again, I don't have some hematite. I don't really use them. I know people like will use chips of crystals and things in like spell bags, but again, I think this one has a little chip of a crystal, but again, it was a crystal that I'd had for ages. I would much rather work with stones that I find, like, you know, maybe, you know, a hag stone or something like this, or a shell from a beach. Always ask permission when you are taking anything. We are wardens of this earth, and we can borrow, but we can never own or fully own or take anything. And always ask for permission. When I say ask for permission, I mean the genus loci, the spirits of place, and even the spirits of the rocks. I know that's getting very animist on you. I have in here the Saxon runes that was bought for me in April for mine and my husband's wedding anniversary. I still need to find some books, you know, that aren't right-wing Nazi bullshit or just shit. Well, as in like not very good resources, well researched. So again, if anyone has any Saxon rune resources that are not problematic, let me know. I would love them. These are my Norse runes that I've had again for about 25 years. And then this is my charm casting and curio in a bag that I made. Some more of those little candle holders. A friend of mine gifted me a set of 4, and I used to use these when I lived in a space that had more room for me to cast circle. I would put these in the 4 quarters, but, you know, I'm not putting these on carpet and I don't have the room. But yeah, when I used to have like wooden flooring, I felt safer than putting it on carpet, because wax, you know, is easier to get off of a wood floor. I have another candle. This is a figurine candle that a friend gifted me for my birthday last year, and I still haven't used it. It smells like licorice. It smells so good. But I wasn't super into the fact that it had this like, and the guide, the little thing that comes with it. It was very like, I know it's like based on Sheila a gig, but it was very my like, your power is in your womb, and it was giving me turf vibes. So I might like pull this pentacle off and sort of, I don't know, try to utilize it, but in a different way that it says in the little guide for it. I've got some matches, which are more matches, a nail, a little bottle, you know, witch things, nails, bottles, a crow feather I found at which I cleaned and have had for many years. This felt like a gift. This is, again, there's a story behind this. Charcoal discs. I have seen some folks on TikToks. I think it was Thorn Mooney did a short or a TikTok where people were like, "What are that? What's that you've got?" And because like Gen Z were like, don't know what charcoal discs are, and it like blew my mind. Another little bottle, because we all need little bottles, right? I've got some small candles, and I've had a bunch. I bought this whole bag, used to be full. It was I got them in sale at Mysteries years and years ago, and they were all like joined. Some of them are joined together. This bag was completely full, so they're little candles, but I don't have the little candle holders that I used to put them in, and because I haven't replaced, I don't know what happened to the candle holders. I used to have 2 little candle holders that would fit these size candles in, and again, I've never gotten around to replacing those candle holders, and so I haven't used these candles for a long time. My god. But I keep them because, you know, I just hang on to stuff. Again, a little jar. I have boxes of jars in the attic, bottles and jars, because I'm like, maybe one day I'll make candles, or maybe I'll put infusions in them. And, you know, I do use them, but I probably don't need anywhere as many as I do have. And each year I will have a big clear out, or have a big purge of like tins and boxes and bottles and jars, and then gradually throughout the next year it builds up again. This is the burner I use for burning cone incense and for using charcoal discs in, and as you can see it's got wax. I've also burned like candles in there before as well. Oh my. This it has, I think it has pendulums, my pendulums in, and meow meow meow. Well, this is going to be such a long video. And this is little bits of foil that I use for, again, to put on my incense burner. I have you know, a little tea light holder. I've got a little incense holder, a tiny little compass so that I can find north. I know where north is when I'm in my bedroom, but if I am out and about and I'm, you know, doing witch shit in a wild space, I should probably get a grown-up compass, but I've had this since I was a teenager because this is all I could get a hold of when I was like 16. Memories. I can't remember. Again, this comes off of a candle or some incense. I can't fucking remember. Another little disc for burning cones on, and yeah, I use this as a tea light holder. Oh my god, what else is that? Oh, little bits of screws. I don't even know where they came from. They felt important to keep because I thought they'd fallen off of something electronic, and somehow they ended up in there. And then in here I've got some I Ching coins that came off of a charm that used to be hung up in my house, well, in my communal hallway, because the people that used to live here were Chinese. Oh, and then this is a little mini altar that was sent to me by Elle of Sacred Seed. We did like little snail mail swap, little like what do you call it, pen pal type thing, and I made her some stuff and sent it to her, and she made me this lovely little travel altar based around the sun card, which was really sweet of her, and she decorated the front. I also did a swap with Crystal of Power Femme as well. I've since lost touch with both of them because they no longer make content, which is really sad because I really enjoy both their content on YouTube. I think Crystal still has a Patreon, and then I was friends with them both on Facebook, but I don't really use Facebook, and neither did Michelle. Elle of Sacred Seed. She didn't really use Facebook. You know, she hadn't posted on it for several years, and I was like, and I just tried messaging her and stuff, and I hope she's okay, but in the end I sort of just closed, what do you call it, like when you unfriend someone, because I thought like I can't really keep in touch with someone, and if they're not really posting on there or not replying, and I just thought I will just she's obviously not using Facebook. Like other friends had posted on there that were clearly people I just think she just doesn't like Facebook, maybe. But yeah, anyway, so that's all that's in there. And then I have various stuff around the house. I use all sorts of stuff from around the house. Hang on, I'm going to stop and I'm going to film towards myself. So as I was just saying, I thought I would spare you any more of the shaky cam. I use all sorts of stuff from around my house in my craft. Whether it's from the kitchen or from my arts and crafts stash, or just other random stuff from around the house. And actually for a good few months I've had on my sort of videos for YouTube ideas list a sort of what do you call it, like a treasure hunt or scavenger hunt, like things that you can use in everyday witchcraft, affordable witchcraft, thrifty witchcraft. And it seems to be there's something in the ether, because then I saw a couple of people that I follow actually make videos around sort of more affordable sort of thrifty witchcraft. And there's even a book that's come out, I think it's sort of like Magic for the Penny Pinching Witch or something like that, and the people that wrote it have been doing sort of the podcast rounds. So there's definitely something in the ether regarding sort of thrifty witchery, but also it's just how people would have practiced. You know, I come from mine's more of a sort of very sort of folkish, as I like to say, spit and sawdust kind of practice. So I will utilize all sorts of things, and as you saw in that box there, I do have bits of brown paper bag or craft paper bag that I will use for sigils and petitions and things like that. So yeah, bits of twine or string are often used. You know, I use red string, as you will see actually from the spell bag that I have. There's red string around there, but I don't keep red string in my witchy box because I have loads of red string in my sewing box from like making, you know, bunch of pouches cut here ready to be sewn. So I'll just pull from my craft stash, you know what I mean? I don't feel like I have to keep everything designated to, you know, this box. I don't have the space to keep everything in this box or on this trolley, so there is stuff just dotted about, and I do just grab whatever. And I did sort of write a basic list of things that you could grab from your house that can be then utilized in witchcraft. You know, things that come to mind instantly are like, you know, salt. Obviously, again, you did see I do have like salt here on my altar. This is table salt. I use generally as a raw table salt. I use Malden sea salt when I cook, but that shit's expensive, and it's one of my little like cooking TREATs to myself. I have to spell it because Dr. Nomi is lying right here and she knows that word, and that means she'll think she's getting a snack. So I do like to use like New Malden sea salt, and I have issues with like low blood pressure and dizziness and all that kind of stuff. So salt is something that I need to utilize in my cooking to stop me fainting. So I like to have the good stuff. I see it as almost like a kind of medicine. I do occasionally use the nice stuff in my witchery, but for like just general like daily witchery, I'm using the table salt, and that's fine, you know. There's all sorts of things that you can use. You can use olive oil to anoint yourself. You can use all sorts of things, but I'm going on to a whole separate thing there. And if that's something that you're interested in, you know, because like how to like just things around the house that you can use in magic and witchcraft, let me know, and I will see if I can rustle up that video for you, and give you some tips and ideas on that front. This has gotten really long. I was like, this is gonna be such a quick video, and then yeah, as soon as I started like showing the stuff on the trolley, and then I was like, let's do the box as well, it's become a whole thing. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this sort of change of pace from my usual stuff, and yeah, I don't know what I'll be doing for, I think next week's video will be a faves video because it'll be the end of July. How is it the end of July soon? Oh my goodness, boo-boo. Yeah, so that'll probably be my next video. So yeah, but thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of my little sort of thrifty altar trolley. How do you have yours set up? Do you have like a really sparse altar space like I do? Do you have an all bells and whistles one, like maybe like someone who comes to mind instantly is Kellyanne Maddox, who has like a very busy, colourful, fun altar? And you know, I've had those in the past, and I won't say no to having those in the future, but this has been really, really working for me. And yeah, let me know what kind of stuff you keep to hand for sort of your witchery. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there because I'll just keep waffling otherwise. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your time. I hope that you're having having a great day wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao.